Welcome to Get Your Pulls, number 66. Just 600 more until we become also forever evil.
Oh, yeah, episode 66. You'd think we'd have some sort of metal themed or horror themed episode, but no. Just talking pulls.
Yeah, just pulls. Just pulls. Even though we do have some horror themed news. If you think clowns are scary, which I certainly do. Not a fan of clowns. Actually really funny. Somehow as a kid, always scariest clown to me, Pennywise. I mean, of course, you may think there's a scarier clown, but bring it up, I dare you.
I mean, you could argue the Joker, because certainly in points or incarnations of his history, he has been a more threatening figure than Pennywise, but he's become at this point a beloved character in pop culture, so people aren't really scared of him anymore.
That's true. He also never, I mean, other than Robin, I don't think he ever murdered a lot of kids. I don't know. But both very scary clowns. He only murders kids when you pay 99 cents to dial a 900 number to vote for him to murder kids. Pennywise did it because that was his natural thing. But anyways, you know what's something weird I always thought about clowns because of that? I don't know why. I think it's one of these weird things. When I was a kid, I was sick while I was watching it, and my mom was cutting lettuce near me. And for some reason, I hated lettuce like forever. I mean, I eat it now because I'm not a weirdo like that anymore. But I used to like despise lettuce. Wouldn't eat it on a hamburger or anything because I remember that smell, and I remember watching it and associated with it. So anytime I see clowns, I think of lettuce smell. That's weird. That's weird. Get your pulse facts from the Mooj. But
not only are you listening, audience, you are Muji's personal psychologist as well.
Yes. Yeah, so if you ever hand me a hamburger with lettuce on it, I'm like, get it away, get it away. It's because of Pennywise the Clown, which will make no sense. But should now. The way that's relevant is that Alan Moore, everyone's favorite crazy comic book creator, had to make a public statement to deny some rumors. There's a clown dressed much like Pennywise, and that he looks like a clown, but is also giving out balloons to people in Northampton, in England. And he's been walking the streets, and that's where Alan Moore lives. So Alan Moore hasn't been seen in public a whole lot lately. This clown is not bearded, but somehow the rumor got going that maybe Alan Moore shaved his beard off, and he's the clown because who the fuck else is weird enough in the city that we know of to be that clown?
Did I read correctly that he was knocking on people's windows and just standing there?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and just waving and smiling at people.
I guess it's a good thing that they don't pretty well let you have guns at all in England, because that some bitch would have been shot here.
Yeah. I'm like, within the first 5 houses. But so they interviewed the guy, and he's not Alan Moore, and he said he's just trying to bring some joy to the neighborhood. Apparently he's been giving out balloons and stuff. I mean, fucking, I wouldn't trust that. Who the fuck is just like, I'm going to drop everything and walk around as a clown and give away balloons? I'm still very sketched out if that guy is standing on the fucking road near my house. But it's been confirmed through an official statement, which is hilarious that it came to that. That is indeed not Alan Moore.
No, he says that he wants to bring joy to children, or to people's lives, and I think maybe people are just misinterpreting that. I think the joy that people are getting is from watching people in the video clips be horrified by the clown, and therefore he's by proxy giving the joy, not by handing them a balloon, but because the guy he handed the balloon shat his pants.
Yeah, or it could also be that he's going to bring them joy by bringing them to a place where people float, where they all float, Dan. They all float. Did you ever find it was a weird thing in that they floated, yet the way that a lot of them float is by the fact that Pennywise turns into a giant spider and has them hanging up in a web. Like, that was weird. I thought they were just metaphorically floating, but apparently they were floating in spider webs because he's also a spider. That never bothered me as a kid because it was just so scary to me, but looking back on it, that's a really weird plot choice. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah, I can't recall what I read the book. Even I read the book It when I was like 8. Yeah, I'm stupid.
That's a fucking tough. Reading a Stephen King book, as great of an idea man as he is tough at age 30. So at age 8, that's like your whole summer.
But I'm still trying to remember he was like some kind of demonic entity of fear. Like, he wasn't a ghost. I mean, he wasn't like he was some sort of supernatural creature.
Exactly. He could take the shape of anything you were afraid of, and apparently everyone was afraid that all of the missing children from the neighborhood were being held up in spider webs to get eaten later, because that's what ended up happening. But anyways,
not the Northampton Clown.
He's not Alan Moore. So, story over. On to the next couple of, a little bit of TV news, double news. First, rumor that ABC may be looking to expand the Marvel stuff. If S.H.I.E.L.D. does as good as they are hoping and thinking that it will, predicting that it will, then they are developing an Agent Peggy Carter spin-off series, which sounds pretty cool. Especially if they actually if they're going to make it like a timepiece, if it's actually going to be, maybe like a continuation of the movie, like...
I don't really see how it
could
be.
Because it's TV and they could do whatever. I mean, everybody else from that time is magically still alive in the Marvel Universe. It's not like they couldn't make the exception for her. I mean...
Yeah, I guess so.
Slowly, every year, they bring back someone from Captain America. Like, just reading the Winter Soldier book, it's like... Oh shit, they froze everyone from 1940. As it turns out, everyone either purposely was frozen or fell into ice. One of the two happened, and they're all alive now. Some of them aged a little, but most of them are the exact same age. But, but who knows? I hope they go with the strategy of keeping it back then, because that would be awesome. I really hope Haley Atwell ends up playing the character, if indeed it gets greenlit, and that happens, because she was awesome in the movie. But that's cool. Hopefully S.H.I.E.L.D. is good, and if it means we're going to get a bunch of stuff, then that's great, because, I mean, that's really a character that there's really no room for her to do anything else with in Cap, so, and someone who couldn't, like, have their own movie. If S.H.I.E.L.D. works out, then that really gives them, the idea, much as DC's doing on the C-Dub with Green Arrow, where they have a ton of characters that couldn't, really hold their own movie, or, maybe even hard to work into, like, other movies, because you can only have so many Avengers, but would be great to do a TV show on.
Yeah, and I mean, it just because the little short, apparently, it was popular and got some steam, and so now they're talking about doing a TV series, and I'm all for it. Any expansion of the Marvel Universe that they've done is great, and, you could think about that time, you still got a Hydra running around, you get some early tastes of the Marvel Universe. That's probably where you'd be more apt to see a Namor appearance, or at least evidence of his existence, and old Human Torch, and some of the other people that were alive during that time that you wouldn't necessarily see in a modern Marvel movie as well. So I think that's a good possibility.
Yeah, so that's cool. That's exciting news. And then also, other exciting news for TV, The Walking Dead. You can't get enough of it. Well, ask you shall receive. AMC, with most of their shows that people watch ending, deciding why try to do something new. Let's just have 2 Walking Dead. So they're gonna. Kirkman is developing, along with the other producers of The Walking Dead right now on AMC, a second Walking Dead show that apparently will most likely air after this season and in between the seasons, so you'll basically have Walking Dead year-round. And it'll be based on totally new characters, a totally different group of survivors, somewhere else, not in the vicinity of Rick and his group. Who knows where. I bet it'll be California, since that's where Kirkman lives now, and they can just shoot there. They'll have one group shooting out in Atlanta, one there, or who the fuck knows where. But it'll be totally different characters, so they'll be free to do whatever stories they want with them. So it's cool. It's exciting. I do, there's a little bit of me just hoping that it's not getting overexposed and that we're not going to end up getting, two decent shows with Kirkman writing 20 comics and now going to be the head writer of two TV shows. You hope he doesn't get spread too thin, but I mean, it's pretty exciting. It could be awesome.
Yeah, I did hear some of his comments about that. He said, he's trying to use ideas that he had that didn't fit in the comic story previously, but he really liked, and also things that where, in the TV show, he's still bound to some level to pay respect to the comic. So he is, while they've changed a fucking fuck ton from the comics to the TV show as it is, he is bound to that source material to a degree. With this new show, he would not be, and he said as such, and thinks that allows him more creative freedom. Or is it just a cash cow, and are they just going to slop something together? And
it's probably both. I'm sure that either one of two things either came to him or like, hey, you think we can get an extra hour of Walking Dead every week? What do you think? Or if he did have the idea, the minute they went to him, he was like, I have an idea. I haven't even written the first word of a script. And they're like, can we have it on TV tomorrow? We're going to get 5 million people are going to watch it. Can we get it on TV tomorrow? I mean, because AMC has a lot of great shows, but they're certainly in the making money business. If you've watched any of their reality shows, I mean, they'll put on whatever people will watch. So, I mean, yeah, it's probably both. I mean, I'm sure that when it's Kirkman, I mean, all you really have to judge him off of is the Walking Dead TV show, which has been good. So, and AMC is generally good. The majority of their shows have been pretty good. So, I like to hope that it's going to be good. But yeah, I'm sure, I mean, that's it. I mean, Mad Men's ending, Breaking Bad's ending, and that's been their bread and butters for, 7 or 8 years. Ever since people were like, oh, AMC has shows now, it's been built around Mad Men and then Breaking Bad. And both of those are gone, and everything else that they've tried to start up, whether it be The Killing or Hell on Wheels, like, none of those shows have been like doing great in the ratings or anything. I mean, as you can see, I mean, Walking Dead gets the TV show now, Talking Dead. I mean, all these shows, even though like, let's do a 30-minute talk show talking about what you just watched, because if half the people stay and watch, that means we're gonna make some sponsor money. So, I'm sure that's it. With all that, they're probably a little bit scared. I mean, they're breaking up Mad Men's last season like some assholes. The 12 episodes, you'll have to wait, a year in between, like Breaking Bad. So I think there is a little bit of, they're kind of scrummaging to find, where the ratings are going to come from, which I've also heard, I mean, that's coming. I heard Thief of Thieves is getting pretty close too, and AMC has the first look on that. So AMC could very soon just be Kirkman and Mad Men. That'll be the new name of the network. But it's still exciting. Like I said, worst case scenario, if it's not great, it'll still be a post-apocalyptic show about zombies, so it'll still be, I'll probably still watch it.
That'll still be something you want to see.
Yeah, even if it's not great, or, with complete freedom. I mean, now you think, who more than Robert Kirkman knows how to tell a good zombie story? I mean, almost anything that you do, you look back on from 10 years ago and think, oh, I could have done this way better. Well, now he's got the chance, so maybe, it might be superior to the other show. We'll just have to wait and see.
It is possible.
So that is it for the news. It's good news. Clowns. We had lettuce clowns and Walking Dead. That's
Clowns,
a good news section.
Zombies, and
lettuce phobia.
Peggy Carter and lettuce.
Yes. But so yeah, on to the polls. Started out with some DC books. Got my one Villains Month title this week. I know a paltry one. I'm sorry. I was afraid of like how many books I was gonna get now that it's been done. I have a few that I had to back order to get in, but I'd probably added a couple more. I've liked the books in general way more. I was afraid with Villains Month that I would read a bunch of books that sucked, and I would end up coming out of Villains Month like spending like $100 and being like, I got fucked. But I mean, I haven't.
No buyer's remorse.
No, absolutely none. I mean, I've liked almost everything, and a couple things that I was just like, whatever about, has been far outweighed by the really good stuff. So I probably would have got more Batman books. But anyways, Penguin #1 or Batman 23.3, your choice, came out this week, and so it's pretty awesome. I really love New
Yeah.
52 Penguin. Penguin in the New 52, 1,000 times better than Penguin from before the New 52. I'm really following the footsteps of the Penguin Pain and Prejudice. You get to see that Penguin is a low-down motherfucker and doesn't give a fuck and will kill anybody whenever.
And don't take no shit off
No.
nobody either.
No, and if you disrespect the Penguin, then he really gets you.
And he will ruin your life in so many ways.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, Penguin, what's crazy is, like, before a couple of years ago, is probably, like, hard. I mean, I wasn't reading comics all the time, but just the general consensus I get is there really wasn't, like, a go-to Penguin story to point towards where, you know, like with the Joker, you're like, read The Killing Joke. And, you know, with a lot of different with a lot of different villains, you know, you have things you can point to, but I feel like now with the Penguin, you do. Pain and Prejudice is awesome. This is awesome. I went back and read Jason Aaron's Penguin story, and it was awesome, so he's got some good stuff. It seems like the more low down and nasty the Penguin is, the more effective he is, so. And that's pretty much in this. It was just more of that. Someone fucked with him, and he fucked up their life, and the life of their friends. So, recommend that guy.
Don't take a piss in the cobble pot. You will regret it.
That's pretty good. Then, more Batman. Batman 66, number 3. Jeff Parker. It was great.
Again, the reason comics were invented.
Yes, you get it's 3/4 of Joker's story, another Joker story in the book, and then, which is very good.
Oh, it's excellent.
And then, well, even better than that, and being excellent, is the last story of the book, the shortest part. Yeah, I got you. I got it in there. Is the last story is an Egghead story, and it's beautiful.
So many egg puns. I hurt. I was in pain, physical pain, from laughing at all of the goddamn egg puns. And, like, take a step back to the Joker story. You had some great cameos. They promised they were going to get modern era characters into the Batman 66 mythos, and they did.
I got a little Harley Quinn action.
Harley Quinn and the Red Hood, which of course is just the Joker's prior ego, but never made an appearance in the Batman 66 universe. So, you know, very cool to see both of those little nods. And then also an excellent piece on Egghead. With my favorite egg pun was at the very end when he gets arrested and he's cussing the cops and it says expletive deleted.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Yeah, like Harley Quinn was definitely just the Batman 66 version. They've done a really great job of that. The modern characters that are popping in act the way you would imagine if they were on the show. They're not just the new characters. They don't feel out of place. So it's a great book. Yeah, it's another $4 that I'll be giving away for months as long as they keep the book going. So
It's just pure fun. I mean, just pure, unadulterated comic book fun.
Yeah. And then moving on, some more digital first stuff that I shit on and then buy in print is Batman Beyond Universe, which I really liked again this month.
Putting out a lot of quality stuff over at DC with the digital first books.
It is crazy, man. Everyone loves, I haven't read, but everyone loves Injustice, which is coming to an end. They announced that because it was supposed to be a prequel, and even though it's, you know, it's the number one, like, digital first book from Marvel or DC by, like, a really large margin, the story was over, so instead of being dicks about it, they're like, we're going to take a break. We're going to come up with something else to do with the Injustice characters, but it was written to be a prequel that led straight into the game, and they've gotten there, so now they're going to take a break and come up with something new, so, you know, that's one of the big two, doing something for the quality work a little bit. They even announced, they're like, well, we could throw something out there, but we're going to write, you know, a whole new story. Apparently when it started, they had a beginning and an end to the story, and it's over temporarily, but everybody loves it too, so yeah, I mean...
And it's Smallville, and...
I mean, I haven't been getting, the Superman, adventures have been great, the ones that I've read, so I mean, yeah, all their digital stuff has been...
Legends of the Dark Knight is digital first also, isn't it?
It is, it's coming to an end, but yeah, it's digital first also, so yeah, everything that I've read from DC digital first has been very good, and it's really the place you can go to for, like, the lighter stuff. I know a lot of people complain that within the DC universe, there's, like, not as many fun books, you know, where at Marvel, there's quite a few books that are a lot more zany and fun. Even though first Swamp Thing's been a lot more fun now that Charles Soule's taken over. They're taking it in that direction. And there's a couple books like that, but it seems like all their digital books are like that. So if that's your complaint, then you know you can either download them digitally if that's your thing, or get them in print. But they've got them. But over to Batman Universe, liked it a lot. Gotta tell you, really loving old Clark without his powers.
Yeah, that was really strong.
It's been a great story so far. You know, Clark in the Batman Beyond universe, of course, is still alive and kicking because he's fucking Clark Kent and Superman, or actually he's just going by Cal.
Cal Kent the fireman.
He's Cal Kent fireman. Well, he lost his powers in the last issue, so in this one he's fighting a fire with his new love interest, a fellow firefighter, and it's the first time he's ever done it without his powers. And he kind of gets taught a lesson because at a certain point he just feels fucked. You can tell he's like, oh, we're about to get killed. And then they make it out, you know, and he's, of course, proud that he did it without the powers and feels like a real hero and everything. So that was really cool. Also, he's going to ask this girl out on a date. And
oh, that was hilarious.
And it's awesome because, you know, he can't pull the old, I'm going to just fly you across Metropolis because, I mean, that's his patent. I mean, he's been using that first date move for 50 years. There's no better first date move. You know, it's like, we're going to go on a date, where we're going to go. And he's like, oh, I'm just going to fly you to the top of a mountain and watch a sunset because that's what I do. But he couldn't, so he has to keep going to all the other members of the Justice League, the future Justice League, get some tips. Best part is when he calls Bruce, and Bruce just hangs up on him. He's not going to talk about that stuff. He's all business. It seems like in every creation of old Bruce Wayne, it's like everybody got together and was like, he will eventually just be Clint Eastwood. That's how it's going to work. Like, no matter what spin you want to put on it, he's got to be Clint Eastwood. But that was cool. And then over in the just Batman portion, Terry McGinnis goes out on a call, does some shit, and then all of a sudden he's getting beat up by Nightwing.
Yeah, the whole Bat family.
Batgirl and Robin and Batman, and you know, you think it's obviously not going to be actually them. There's some sort of sorcery going on here, but it's pretty cool seeing them all show up. So got a Tim Drake version Robin by the suit, so I mean it's like it would.
I love that they're really continuing right on Batman Beyond the animated series stuff here. I mean, like Barbara Gordon, there's a storyline going on there with her where they're trying to force her out as police chief. She is the elderly Commissioner Gordon.
Yes, of course.
And it's awesome, man. I really I love that book so much more than I expected I was going to love it, and really happy that you started picking it up.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started getting it because I actually gave the cartoon a chance because I'm not a big fan of cartoons. I've tried to watch a lot of the Marvel ones and pretty much hated them all. And then like I've even tried to go back and watch. I loved X-Men when I was a kid, and it just doesn't really hold up the same. But Batman Animated does, and actually might even like it more now that I'm older. And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna check something, so I'll check this fucking Batman Beyond, and liked it a lot. Weirdest thing from that I've seen so far, because I'm not finished with it, but craziest revelation is that at some point Barbara and Bruce get together, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Have you ever seen that in the TV show?
No, I haven't gotten that far. I'm watching it now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like it's all, from what I've seen so far, it's the story, it's not even like the story of the episode, it's pretty early on. I don't know if maybe you missed it, or maybe it just hasn't happened yet, but it's pretty early on when Terry as Batman meets Barbara for the first time. He's down in the Batcave with Bruce, and she just walks in, and she's like, hi, Bruce, and talking is Commissioner Gordon, and Terry's like, maybe you just looked over it.
No, I think I just overlooked that.
Yeah, I mean, because it could have been something you were just half paying attention to,
yeah,
you know, if you were doing other stuff. But yeah, so when he does that, you know, Terry's like freaking out, and it's like, how does she know, you know? And then he figures out she was Batgirl, you know, he looks at the suit and sees the, you know, the Batgirl suit all messed up after she comments on it. And then he's like asking Barbara the whole time, like, why are you and him, why do you not talk to each other now, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then he figures out that they dated. And then it's never really talked upon again. So what the fuck, Bruce dating Barbara Gordon, like after her and Dick dated forever? Like, also, ooh, kind of gross. Like, I mean, it depends on, like, in what capacity you think
it might have been 50, you know, who knows.
Man, I don't know. It depends on like what capacity. It was before she hung up being Batgirl, so I mean, she would have had to been a bit younger. But it depends on what, I guess, continuity you think about the characters too. Because when Batman Beyond came out before the relaunch, you would have had to think that like Batman was like at least in his like 30s when Barbara became Batgirl and she was a teenager. And that's Dick, his best friend in the world's greatest love interest. That's some two-timing stuff. Maybe
that's why
that's
they
why
hate
they don't
each
touch
other
on it.
that's in the Batman
Yes,
Beyond. They don't talk.
that's why they don't talk. And B, that's weird. They never really touched on it again in the show, as far as I've seen. Because maybe they walked in one day and were like, "Wait, what do we do? What did y'all do? You did that? Like, you just made Bruce a real prick."
Maybe you cracked the nut that Kyle Higgins has been holding on to there.
It could be. It could be. But anywho, that's it for my DC stuff. Over to Marvel. I guess I'll talk about Daredevil first, even though it was the best book. Fucking Daredevil again, man. Daredevil number 31. That's 31 great issues of Daredevil. Fucking Mark Waid, man. I mean, out of all the books I get, you know, this is one that's 31 in, and is often bi-weekly, and has stayed just great the whole time. And this week was a real punch in the goob. I mean, basically the whole book, it's Daredevil. You can see it's a little Trayvon Martin commentary, obviously, a little bit. You find out there's a trial where they let off a guy who is a white guy that obviously killed a black person. And so the first few pages, you're just like, oh man, I don't really need to know your opinion on like that case. Like, I don't really give too much of a shit about that. You know, I almost feel a little uncomfortable because like, man, I know almost everybody in the world thinks that guy was guilty. So, you know, especially anyone who writes a comic is going to, because that's the leftist of left-wingers. So I was just like, felt weird and uncomfortable because I don't need that in my comic. But then it was totally different. It was the comic version. You find out that there's an evil white supremacist group that rig things, and then they do a fake out where they use some in the Marvel Universe technology to have the black lawyer of the kid who had been wronged to come on and say that they need to lynch everybody. Which then I was like, oh, this is actually good commentary, which is a good thing on, like, you know, the way people act. Where they had him to show how dangerous it is. He went on there and was like, you know, they were guilty, so why don't people just go kill them? And these are the names of all the jurors that found them innocent. So here's their houses. Do what you want to them. And then you find out that, of course, the guy didn't do that because he's not an asshole, and that it was a white supremacist group trying to stir up some shit. The code is cracked, but that's the main storyline. But then the other storyline going on is fucking Foggy is out and about. He's trying to do some good. He's got a support group for people, all sorts of things, and then we'll see. This is probably just some sort of a red herring.
Spoiler alert.
Major
spoiler alert.
Big spoiler as always on the podcast, and we'll see if this actually ends up even being Foggy, if he's actually dead. Who the fuck knows? But the end panel, Matt discovers Foggy, and he's been hung up by a noose, and he looks dead as shit. So who knows?
Yeah, barring chicanery, comic book resurrection, or what have you, you never know. In comic books, anybody can come back from the dead at any given time. They can always throw you in like you said, a red herring, you know, throw you off the trail with something. So maybe that wasn't, but possibly we may have just seen the death of Foggy fucking Nelson in Daredevil, which is crazy.
And it may be the point, because everybody continuously seems like they're waiting on the point, because Daredevil has been, you know, historically like one of the darker books around, you know, and this has been so light, even when bad stuff happens, you know, it's like it always kind of bounces off of Matt Murdock and Mark Waid's run. Sounds like a lot of people have really been waiting on the book to like go dark again, and Mark Waid's done a great job of like playing with that with people, like, you know, setting up situations where it looks like the book's going to get dark and then not, hinting at it and stuff. I mean, that would seem to be the straw that would break the camel's back. If he is going to go take it back in that direction eventually, that could be the thing that sets it off. So another excellent issue of Daredevil. It's great. It was good. Had a great political commentary. Loved the book all the way through. And then on the last page, I was just like, Ah! So, another fantastic issue. And then over to the Battle of the Atom. This book actually from last week. Didn't have the comic store, so I had to order it, but we got to part 3, which is in Adjectiveless X-Men, aka X-Men, aka X in the City. Um, but it's Battle of the Atom Part 3. Something pretty easy. In the last issue, you saw the future X-Men come back. Now we got 3 sets of X-Men hanging out. They're all arguing if the original X-Men need to go back to their original times. And while they're arguing, Scott and Jean get the fuck out of there and go on the run. And then everybody kind of stands around and argues about if they should take them back or not. And then Scott and Jean are out and kind of rekindle the romance a little bit on the bike, kind of remind why they like each other. Sorry, old school beast. I think you've lost Jean back to Scott again. But and then it ends on something kind of crazy, I would say. I mean, once again, always spoilers. Original Scott and Jean look to someone they think may help them, which is Now Time Scott, to help them out. And B, a really weird choice that I've seen in the characters, because as of now, reading 2 issues, the argument just seems so dumb, is that they're helped in their escape by the fact that Kitty Pryde and Rachel Gray kind of like help them escape, and think that despite the fact that it's 100% fact that they've all seen that the fact that the original X-Men are in our time is like really fucking up the space-time continuum, Kitty Pryde and Rachel Gray still think that they should get to decide on their own and help them escape, which is really weird. In both issues, Kitty Pryde kind of sounds like a crazy person to me.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that. I mean, you know, it's, I guess, thinking more emotionally, like, that they should have the choice to do what they will. They should, except they're fucking up the space-time continuum.
Yeah, except for, like, there's just logical people, except for they're mostly supposed to be logical people, so you're like, we got the future X-Men coming telling us that for sure if they don't go back that the world's going to be fucked. So decision made, I think. But anyways, like that. I don't see their point. I guess they needed to have someone to take that side so that they could give us 12 issues of this instead of the 6 it would probably take to tell it. But it really makes like Kitty Pryde come across just being, because she's usually super logical and always has the right answers. She comes across like kind of dumb, but
yeah, interesting. I had the very next part of it actually in Uncanny X-Men number 12, which was chapter 4, Battle of the Atom. They've now arrived at the Scott Summers of the present X-Men led team facility. They meet everyone. Emma and Jean have a moment, of course. There's some interesting back and forth with the Cuckoos and Emma and young Jean there. And before they can figure out what to do, the X-Men from the future, along with the rest of the X-Men from the present, track them down. And it ends with the shit about to hit the fan between Jean from the future, who is Zorn because her powers have grown so much she can't keep the helmet off, but for more than like so many minutes at a time because she can't contain her powers. So that's why she's Zorn in the future. But it ends with her and Emma about to throw down, which I thought was pretty cool. It was like the big fight we never really got to see.
BT Dub, Emma's wearing a shirt that's gravity defying shirt. Somehow her boobs are staying in. I don't see how. I guess she's an X-Man, so things like that are pretty simple for her, but
it's a double-sided tape.
I guess, but she's really in the danger zone, especially if she's about to have a fight. If she fights Jean and there's not a nip slip, I call bullshit. That's the most unrealistic part of the comic that week. But I have a prediction how this is going to end. How do you think it's going to end? Do you have a prediction? Have you thought about it?
I think some, but not all. Like maybe one. Maybe Jean stays and the rest of them go back.
I don't think so.
Possibly.
I think you're going to convince them all to go back, and it's going to be the end of the Back to the Future 2. They're going to be like, well, we sent them all back, so I guess things are back to normal. And then what should be a present day aged Jean is going to come walking up and be like, well, almost everything, and this is all going to be the excuse to have
bring her
Jean
back
in regular continuity, because they're going to erase, Doc Xavier is going to erase the minds of everybody except for Jean will have grown so powerful that he can't quite erase her mind. So now she's going to fake her death as the Phoenix and then just come back, go and do her own thing where she's going to be doing some good. May not even walk up. They may just find her. They may wait a few issues and be like, oh shit, we found something and it's her. And you turned out that, yes, she pulled it Back to the Future Part 2. That's why I think it's going to end.
All right.
You heard it here first, motherfuckers.
All right. Fair enough. No. Interesting to know. I had a couple of really good books in the Marvel pile. I'll just go ahead and keep going because that's where we were. But actually, Thor probably would have got pick of the week. I'll go ahead and go with it first. The Accursed Part 1, the next arc, we had the God Butcher arc, and then we had the nice little middle issue that was very sentimental and showed Thor like really being a hero and doing some good in many different ways other than punching frost giants in the face with his hammer.
Yes.
That's good too, but when you can actually help people, that actually is what defines being a hero.
Yeah, well, there's not some sort of world-ending scenario going on, just a hero in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Thor was doing. Well, here we are introduced to the return of Malekith the Accursed, one of the most heinous Thor villains of all time, and he is back in the continuity just in time for the upcoming movie this fall.
I was going to say, coincidentally, star of movie that's out in a couple months.
But, man, he really came back with a vengeance. The Dark Elves all band together to try to rescue him. He was imprisoned in hell.
Tough place to get out of.
And, of course, the Frost Giants, they make their way down there, and or not the Frost Giants, but the Dark Elves, they make their way down there, and they actually let him loose, but they all die trying to save him except for one, and his name is Scumtongue.
Fucking Scumtongue.
And so Malekith goes to his home world, Svartalheim, the home of the Dark Elves, and you flash over to Thor and his crew, and they're hanging out, and they get word that horrible things are happening over there, so they go to investigate it, and you find out he's just, like, committing genocide on his own people because they elected a new ruler in his absence, and he's hard, man. If they even come close to capturing how nasty he was in the book and the movie, that's going to be a hell of a time.
Yeah, I like this issue a lot, man. Jason Aaron continues to not disappoint whatsoever.
No.
It's staying awesome.
I was worried after the God Butcher. Like, I don't know where he's going, but just the premise and the art and just everything combined is already pretty magical in this one.
I mean, he seems to be into it. I mean, he constantly in interviews and on Twitter says he's going to write Thor until they take it away from him, that he can write it forever if need be. Also, I saw something funny. He was fielding some questions the other day, and I've seen this on a couple of occasions. I saw this on a message board below some comic reviews, and also some asking on Twitter asking, does he ever plan on reverting Thor back to the fucking old scientist guy who becomes Thor when he gets a hammer? And he gave a very nice no answer, but I really wanted to be, if I was the type of person that jumped in other people's conversations, I would have been like, fuck no, he's not. Why the fuck would he do that? That would be totally stupid. Because I just recently saw somebody on a message board being like, I've never really been able to get into Thor ever since, they made him a god. And I was like, how fucking old are you, dude? You mean you stopped reading Thor in like 1973 and then we're like, I'm still waiting. It's 40 years later, but I'm waiting on them to revert him back to just a fucking dude until Shazam. I want him to be Shazam.
That's pretty much what the original Thor with Donald Blake as the alter ego was.
The majority of all the early Marvel characters in first go-around were just rip-offs of DC characters, and then they became a lot cooler as they went, but that's how a lot of them were.
That's how a lot of things start. But anyway, happy with that, and moving on to another book I was pretty happy with, Infinity #3, the third part of this big event. As we learned last time in Infinity #2 that Peter Quill's dad was a bitch-made cunt.
Yeah, he's a dick.
And his treachery trying to make a deal on the Galactic Council and get them all fucked, actually just pinpointed the builders to exactly where they were, and they destroyed the entire planet and killed thousands of, probably some dead Avengers even floating out there. We don't know what the body count is because they fucked shit up just really badly. But at least all the main Avengers and people from the Galactic Council made it out to discuss what the hell they were going to do next. Which their response was they're going to attack. Because that's when they least expected. They actually get lucky with the power of the Star brand and have some success with that attack. So surprising hope spot for the... But really, all of that was kind of playing off what happened in the last issue. Then we find out what's been going on. We knew that Thanos gave the ultimatum that he had to give up all of the firstborn children of Attilan and give their heads and to sacrifice to Thanos, and he would spare them. And Thanos...
That's a hell of a price.
Yeah, he's coming for his answer. He's like, you were given a choice. The gauntlet, I raise this place and everyone dies, or the tribute, where many men live while only a few lives are forfeit. And, of course, Black Bolt, Thanos is taunting him. What say you, little king? Black Bolt's the guy whose whisper can knock down a mountain, so he fucking lets out a full blast scream in the face of Thanos to end the issue, and I thought that fucking ruled.
Black Bolt's like, the next event's called Inhumanity, what do you think I'm gonna do? Man! Yeah. He's like, I'm obviously not gonna lose, I have the next event, bitch.
But, hot start and a hot finish on that issue, if nothing else.
Yeah, I liked it. It's it's like anything. There's a lot of posturing going on in between. They gotta sell issues. I imagine when they pitch these stories, they go, "Here's the story. It needs to go 4 issues," and then Marvel goes, "Make it 7," and they go, "Okay." But there was a lot of stuff in between that seemed unnecessary. But yeah, it started out, ended good. Still excited for the next issues.
Oh yeah. Infinity's it's captivating. We'll jump over to DC. Also had the 3 Villains Month titles this week. 3 big ones. Start out with the underdog here, the sleeper of this whole crew, Shadow Thief #1, aka Justice League of America 7.3.
A book that when you got it when they handed it to you, you were like, "Did I order this? What is this?"
Another interesting thing where they take a classic DC villain and pull the gender reversal. The original Shadow Thief is an Egyptian god named Hathset, who is actually the one that put the curse on Hawkman and Hawkgirl to perpetually die and be reincarnated as lovers who were always star-crossed. Not the case here. This is actually a woman who was an Israeli spy.
Pulling the gender reversal, which you can immediately imagine means making a dude a chick. Because if they made a classic woman character a guy, then people would not shut up about it on Twitter.
Probably not. But, so we find out that the thing that gave Hathset his powers as the Shadow Thief originally actually is some kind of skin. So she's somehow gotten a hold of it. And it gives the power, and really explains the power well, things I didn't know about it, that it actually is, she can teleport anywhere in the world that there's a shadow. So it makes it, easy for her to travel and not get caught doing things. So that's how she's been such a successful assassin and spy.
That's pretty cool. And
you just see like how the shit breaks down with one of her old business partners, and she makes him pay. And it's one of those like, well, it's a villain story, but you really are rooting for her the whole time, and then she slaughters them all at the end, and you're like, alright, well, they fucking deserved it.
I really imagine her, like, either in her comics or if she was, like, in a TV show, that a lot of the fucking plot revolves around the fact that the next day there's going to be, like, a storm, which obviously will make lots more shadows, and she's just like, well, storm's coming tomorrow, think about that. And that's the way a lot of things happen in her life.
We're moving on. Green Lantern 23.3 or Black Hand #1. Really liked this one. It was hard to pick a favorite between this and the Rogues. I'd probably rank them equally. It just Black Hand's always been a ridiculous villain to me, and then they're doing a really cool thing with him now. Like, ridiculous in the best way possible. But they're doing a cool thing with him now. His original power is he had the Black Hand. If he touched you, you die. It's essentially, as they've explained more in the Animal Man and Swamp Thing, he can essentially command the rod, and he can kill you by touching you. But he also, since the events of Blackest Night, one of the only things from pre-DC continuity that allegedly still happened, yet there's no way it could have because the character's involved, but he's got the Black Lantern ring as a result of Blackest Night. And with that, he can command the dead, so he can kill you and then turn you into his zombie puppet. And so
That's pretty fun. He doesn't even have to cast a spell like in Skyrim. He can just do it.
No, he just touches you with one hand and turns you into a zombie with the other. And so you see him he gets imprisoned. The guy next to him in the cell next to him won't stop talking to him, so he ends up summoning like these dead rats to go bite him and infect him and turn him into a zombie. He finds out that the heroes are all gone, and then he just commands a fucking horde of the undead, and bad things are happening. You actually see it, even a cameo from Martin Jordan, Hal Jordan's dad.
Marty J.
Pulled up from the grave by Black Hand to be a minion. So
that's a dick move.
Yeah. Pretty cool issue, and I know they're about to do the thing with Relic and the War of Light and all that in Green Lantern, but I really hope they do something with Black Hand sooner rather than later, because that was strong. And then on to Rogues #1, Flash #23.3. You get a good idea for what the Rogues are all about here. You see that they are one of the true supervillain factions with a code. They're crooks. They don't mind robbing. They don't mind making their money, but they don't kill. Rogues don't kill, and you learn about that tenet here, and it's something from the old continuity, but a lot of people didn't think they were going to bring it over, so good to see that they did. You see more into the history of the falling out between Captain Cold and his sister, and his sister gets fucked up. Essentially, this is where Captain Cold ends up reclaiming leadership of the Rogues, and as a huge fan of the Rogues, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, part of the code you find out is that they really prefer alliterative names.
Oh, yes.
It's really tough to get in if you don't have that.
Yeah,
you gotta go through a lot of extra tests.
There's the Trickster is the only one that doesn't have a...
He's just one name, but I'm sure he would be like...
Well, yeah, TT, the Trickster.
Yeah, the Trickster, yes.
2 T's, still.
Yeah, exactly.
Captain Cold, Mirror Master, Weather Wizard.
Yeah.
Glider. Oh, Golden Glider, that's her name, actually.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's it.
Heatwave? Is that the fire guy's name is Heatwave, I think?
I think so. So that's
he's
the one.
The only one that does not alliterate.
He's the only one, and he has to be able to be on fire all the time. So he had to they're like, well. So yeah, I'm sure he had to do something. Extra special. He probably had to fucking roll the Flash's house without getting called or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
I know what else is like. That actually, it's a bridge of the gap between the old and new continuity, at least in how the characters were. It actually also explains how they turned from just using weapons, and the old school Rogues didn't have powers. Captain Cold had a freeze gun, and fucking...
They were just bitch maids.
Weather Wizard had a wand, and, Mirror Master had a fucking mirror thing that allowed him to fucking... And now he's, stuck in the mirror dimension. And, his... Captain Cold's sister actually sacrifices herself to bring him back from the mirror dimension, but you have to find out that all their powers or all the things that they use essentially
Is her
got
name
infused
Catherine
with
Cold?
No, it's not.
Well, they just missed a huge chance with that.
So, but yeah, happy again this week, and I've enjoyed all my books.
Yeah, Villains Month has been pretty good so far. Just one more week to go. Big ones I'm getting from that, getting Batman 23.4, Bane, a little Bane action, and the Batman proper title, which I don't think we've seen yet. Get I got the Secret Society coming, hopefully before we pod next. It's coming in the mail. Got Batman Superman Doomsday coming in the mail also, so that'll be badass.
Got Ocean Master, Black Adam. I think there's another Green Lantern. Oh yeah, Sinestro is next week as well.
Nice. And then I've got the most indie-tastic week of all time that I've had, I think. I got The Wake from Vertigo, Wake number 4, pumped for that. Seems like it's been a minute since I got one of those. And then from Image, all my buds, my Image Bro books, my pals.
All of my Image Bros.
Yes, get Fatale, Saga, and Revival, which is 3 of the 4 Image books I normally get, plus the brand new Sex Criminals, the highly anticipated from Fraction. So it's going to be a big week next week. Big week, lots of good stuff.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to it, and we'll see you right back here then on Potty Humor. What about it, Muji?
Yeah, get your balls.